7 p.m. Welcome, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to tonight, February 3rd, City of Fairburn Planning and Zoning meeting. Staff, would you please call roll to see if we have quorum?
Absolutely. We have Vice Chairwoman Parker,
Present.
Chairwoman James,
Present.
Commissioner Smith,
Present.
Commissioner Eccles.
Present.
Have a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone, please let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Commissioners, I take it everyone has had a chance to look over the agenda for this evening's meeting. Do we have any questions, concerns regarding tonight's agenda? None? Okay. Is there a motion on the floor to approve this evening's agenda?
I make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Eccles, second.
Okay, first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All righty. Agenda is approved. Second, we are going to approve the meeting minutes from the December 2nd meeting. If everyone had a chance to look those over, do we have any questions or concerns regarding the minutes from December 2nd, 2025 meeting?
No questions.
No questions?
Commissioner Eccles, I make a motion that the meeting minutes from December 2nd, 2025 be approved.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any nays? Okay. All righty, meeting minutes are approved. Let's see, this evening, we are going to, do we have any public comments, staff? No, no public comments? Okay. All righty, then we go right into old business. Any old business? No old business, okay. Any public hearings this evening? No public hearings, okay, moving right along. Okay, which brings us to new business. We do have two items this evening for new business. First one is a use permit, truck terminal 7472 Graham Road. Staff have a report for us? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So our first item will be the truck terminal use permit. So the site is located at 7472 Graham Road to the west of the intersection of Graham Road and Stalwart Drive. The site is currently zoned M2, which is heavy industrial, and the site is approximately 9.55 acres. This is what the site looks like today. And they have included a survey of the property for your review, as well as a concept plan which will reflect the conditions today, as they do not plan on making any changes to the site. All right, so when reviewing the use permit, we do have to go over certain considerations. And so for consideration number one, whether the proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive land use plan adopted by the City Council. Staff finds that the proposed use is consistent with the current comprehensive plan. The site is in an industrial area, and the appropriate use is a truck terminal. The industrial area is designated for traditional and heavy industrial uses that drive economic development through manufacturing, processing, and logistic operations. The appropriate zoning district in the industrial area includes M2. The M2 zoning district, heavy industrial, that is intended to provide suitable areas for major manufacturing and storage in large amounts of land. Truck terminals are where trucks and or trailers are temporarily stored, maintained, or based. All right, so we have number two, compatibility with land uses and zoning districts in the vicinity of the property for which the use permit is proposed. Staff finds that proposed use is compatible with the surrounding land uses and zoning districts. The surrounding land uses are industrial. Truck terminals are an appropriate land use in the industrial area. The surrounding zoning districts are M1, which is light industrial, and M2. Truck terminals are permitted use with an approved use permit in the M2 zoning district. I have included a table for your review, which shows the zoning district of the surrounding properties as well as the existing use and also the future land use designation. I have also included graphics that reflects those zoning districts and those future land use designations. All right, so number 3, whether the proposed use may violate local, state, and/or federal statutes, that is, ordinances or regulations governing land development. Operating a business without an occupational tax certificate is a violation, and to the best of staff knowledge, the proposed use does not violate any local, state, and/or federal statutes, ordinances, or regulations governing land development. The applicant will be required to comply with all City of Fairburn regulations. Number 4, the effect of the proposed use on traffic flow, vehicular and pedestrian along adjoining streets. Vehicular and pedestrian traffic flow should not be adversely affected along Graham Road. Traffic impact study requirements were not applicable as the proposed use did not exceed the 500,000 square foot threshold for industrial development. All right, so you have number 5, which is location and number of off-street parking spaces. So off-street parking is located on the site, and there are a total of 156 oversized parking spaces that are for the trucks and/or trailers. Number 6, the amount and location of open space. There won't be any changes to the site, so that's not applicable. Number 7 is protective screening. The property is currently screened. And number 8, hours and manners of operation. The truck terminal will operate 24 hours a day. It offers truck and trailer parking on a day-by-day basis. Number 9 is outdoor lighting. There is existing outdoor lighting. And finally, number 10, ingress and egress to the property. Gated ingress and egress to the site are provided from Graham Road. All right, so staff recommends approval of the use permit with the following condition: that the applicant must adhere to the supplemental regulations on truck terminals per the zoning ordinance, which is Chapter 80 zoning, administrative permits and use permits, Section 80-239, truck terminals / truck stops. I conclude. Thank you.
Are there any questions for staff?
I just have one question.
Sure.
It says our lighting is already installed. What type of lighting is there? Is it bright lighting?
I believe that the applicant could more so speak
Yes,
to the
ma'am.
lighting on the site currently.
Okay. Well, staff, I don't know if this is more toward the applicant or you would answer this, but in layman's terms, okay, this is already a truck terminal, correct?
This is correct. They are going through this process to come into compliance.
Thank you. Okay. And one more question. You mentioned fencing and gating. All the trucks are behind fencing?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other questions,
That was it.
commissioners? No further questions. Anything for the applicant?
I'm just curious about the lighting, how
That's
bright is the lighting?
Okay. Can we please have the applicant step forward?
Kept sitting up and down and up and down. Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners.
Good evening.
I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have. That was a great presentation and kind of put all this in perspective of what's going on. The only thing I'll add, which I
So
think...
sorry to jump in there.
Yeah,
Can you
sorry.
state your name and
Of
address
course.
for the record?
Please. Joseph Brickman, 312 Sycamore Street, Decatur, Georgia, 30030. The only thing I'm really going to add, and I'll get on lighting and then also what's going on here, why is this already ready to go? This property has been operating as a truck terminal in the exact same state, same management, same fencing, same lighting, same management altogether for 30 years. One of the plans that you guys have in front of you to look at tonight is the concept plan from 1995. That hasn't changed. It's been 156 spaces since then. The survey is current because there's been new ownership, and because of that lapse in ownership, all of a sudden, our client found out, wait a second, we need to make sure we're doing this right. That's the use permit and why we're here tonight. As far as the lighting's concerned, Commissioner, I just drove by on the way in just because I wanted to see what it looked like at night. It's kind of like a stadium lighting way up high, not too bright, but it shows and illuminates the entire parking lot for security purposes. And my understanding is that also hasn't changed for a very long time, and there's no plans to change any of that.
I do have one question. Where this is located, I think I know where it is. How close are housing to this truck stop? Yeah.
To be honest, even just strictly based off of my drive around right before I came here tonight, we're not close to any housing. This is strictly surrounded in an ocean of industrial, and honestly, it's just mostly warehouses, and then you find our parking lot right there.
Thank you.
Any more questions, commissioners? Okay, all right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All righty, do we have a motion on the floor to approve use permit for truck terminal at 7472 Graham Road? Second?
Second.
Commissioner Echols, second.
I'm sorry? Oh, she was second? Okay, appreciate it. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, motion approved. Our next item under new business is text amendment, section 80-90, Highway 74 overlay, drive-through restaurant standards. Staff, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The item before you is a text amendment from Access Infrastructure LLC. They're requesting that the Planning and Zoning Commission review and make a recommendation to the Mayor and City Council regarding the proposed text amendment to Chapter 80, Section 80-90 of the Highway 74 Overlay District. It would modify the spacing standards as it relates to drive-through restaurants in the Overlay District. Summary of the request, the supplemental regulations that the applicant is requesting is listed in the application, things like 10-foot landscape buffer along public streets, flexibility to modify building setbacks, and allowances. The one thing I really want to bring your attention to is the request to reduce the minimum indoor 800 from the 4,000 square foot to 800 square feet. That is a point that the applicant has mentioned in the application. We have a brand new comprehensive plan that does provide some guidance in terms of policy decision, provides a lot of good information for this applicant and anyone else looking to do new development or make modifications to our guidelines. And there are a couple items that I want to bring your attention to, specifically as it relates to the comprehensive plan. It was repeatedly mentioned throughout the process of the need for more commercial development, specifically sit-down restaurants, retail shops, especially related to the downtown area, and the Highway 74 area was mentioned as well. We have a great deal of new density that's coming, and so there was a concern about balancing the heavy amount of housing development with also providing commercial amenities that folks want, things like retail, grocery shops. These items are tied to quality of life improvements, and they were mentioned from the beginning of the comprehensive plan process to the end when it was finally adopted. Specifically as it relates to Highway 74, there's a text that states the corridor needs a clearer vision to better leverage development interests to transform it into a more attractive, livable community. That was one of the things that they wanted to do in terms of policy shifts and really looking at the existing development that has been approved and making room for some of the items that residents have been asking for quite a few years. We also have, along with the comprehensive plan, we had an economic development strategic plan that gave us a lot of good data about areas for growth, especially as it relates to new industries, the areas where we have potential for new opportunities. We have the highway mixed-use area was informed by the economic development strategic plan. We were able to review which areas in terms of like industrial development, which was heavy concentrated in terms of the growth we've seen over decades, but then also seeing the opportunities for things like restaurants or hospitality and all of those items that are needed in a growing community so that we have a diverse economic ecosystem. So taking into account the economic development strategic plan, the housing study that we had completed, all of the information that we received from various residents all over the city. That's when we made that shift in the highway mixed-use zoning district, which would be directly impacted by this request, to look at doing a new strategy of sorts to allow what we have already approved, but also prioritizing things like, grocery store, entertainment. We have some of that, but just encouraging more growth in those areas. And having reviewed the applicant's request and balancing that with the current regulations, which does allow drive-through restaurants, but just simply ask that they have a larger dining option. Staff cannot support the request for the text amendment. The applicant is here and available to answer questions, to give you their perspective on what they've seen in the market as well. Are there any questions for staff?
Really, any questions?
No?
Do you? Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Any questions? I do have a question. Sir, I'm so sorry. Your name?
Jason Green. I'm
Green,
the
Mr.
Planning Director with Access Infrastructure, yes.
Okay. Mr. Green, were you all proposing a certain restaurant chain, or are we thinking of?
No, so what has happened, and that's why I wanted to come here and have this conversation with you folks, is what we did is we prepared this text amendment to try to account for some of the items that staff has mentioned. But I think one of the things that has been overlooked when they mention existing development and existing drive-throughs and that sort of thing is the pattern of development isn't just the existing buildings. The pattern of development is the parcels that have been broken out and already subdivided and split prior to these codes coming into place. So right now we're in a situation where there's a parcel that was made and developed and carved out for this type of use, for basically drive-through type situation. It's within close proximity to the interstate, which is traditionally what you have on these types of commercial corridors. And because of the adoption of the code, it prohibits that use from being able to go there. And there's really very few other uses. Retail doesn't go on this smaller parcels. They usually go in multi-unit buildings. It's hard to develop this parcel and its location with those other types of uses that you are striving to get. And we fully understand that. And that's why we drafted this text amendment in a manner that gives respect to the existing patterns of development, not just the buildings, but the parcels themselves. And I will say, the intent there with the 800 square feet, right now your code says 4,000 square feet with 50% being towards the sit-down restaurant part. That would be 2,000 square feet. So it's not a 4 to 8, it was a 2,000 to 800, that was the intent of that. So we were just trying to provide opportunities for an enhancement, kind of the developer giving something on the property and developing it in an even greater manner than what you've already strived for in exchange for that trade-off for the separation. I think you guys have done a great job in what you're doing with the architectural standards and trying to change the corridor. But the reality is sometimes these parcels are already created and we don't want it to sit vacant. And unfortunately, there's a smaller amount of uses that could go in a small parcel like this. Mm-hmm. So that was the impetus behind this request.
Okay. No, you mentioned not exactly going from 4,000 to 800, but 2,800 is still pretty big jump.
Sure.
Pretty big reduction.
Understood. And again, some of this was for conversation. If there's a middle ground there, we're willing to look at that. The challenge is by the time you do parking, you do the footprint of the building, you do the drive aisles, you do all that other setbacks, you have a pretty significant setback requirement. That doesn't leave a lot of space for those uses. And it's especially restrictive to those drive-through uses.
Right.
And furthermore, even other uses that have drive-throughs, there's CVS's and there's other drive-through uses. The challenge is site's not big enough for them either, so.
Right, understood. And then in vice versa, the challenge for the city is to find that balance of, like staff, we've gone through comprehensive plan, we've gone through economic development plans,
Right.
and all of that is because I don't think the city wants, our citizens have made it loud and clear, they don't want just a ton of fast food restaurants. That's why it's so, we're really particular about what goes on in the overlay district.
Right.
Because most people are crying for sit-down restaurants.
Understood.
Different things like that, a grocery store. We've got 1 million fast food restaurants already.
And that's a challenge too, because the market has evolved and now there's fast casual, right? Rather than
Yeah.
quick service. I mean, you can call it what you want, but there's a lot of different forms that those types of businesses are taking. And I think when you talk about consolidation of property, being able to provide 3, 4, 5 acre site or bigger for some of the mixed-use developments that you see coming in, absolutely that makes sense. The challenge is if you have the last piece sitting there that's at an acre or less, there's very limited amount of uses that could go there, and it's kind of unintentionally, I believe, left that out. And I would agree with you on the economic development part, exactly what you talked about. I think that was the intent, but with new development moving forward, larger projects will absolutely have that opportunity, and I think you're seeing that across the street from our client's parcel.
And you have to think too, once you open the door, and you change, you update this text amendment to open the door to let something like that happen, then we've got a plethora of small things, small businesses, small fast food restaurants, drive-throughs everywhere that you kind of let the genie out of the bottle and you can't put it back in. So these are things that we do have to consider.
And maybe one of the ways to combat that is looking at the parcel size in existing parcels rather than new development, where you have a 3 or 4 acre tract that gets subdivided without parcels that become those quick service restaurants. And we can look at existing parcels rather than existing buildings. And that may be a way to solve the problem that you're talking about, just to look at it from a different approach.
Any questions, commissioners?
Have you guys, thought about the traffic issue at 74?
Yeah, so, yes.
It's a problem.
Understood. I would argue on the planning side, I've been doing this about 23 years, and your quick service restaurants don't generally generate the traffic. They capture most of the traffic that's driving by. That's their intent when you're going from home to work or back and forth. I personally have never left my house and said, let's go down to McDonald's or whatever quick service restaurant. It's generally a capture of that traffic. It shortens trips. That corridor was there. We understand that traffic. We don't want to be a burden to that. In my opinion, that wouldn't be a burden with that type of restaurant. I don't think they generate the traffic that will create a more burdensome situation. We do certainly have to abide by all separation of driveways from intersections and safety standards that are in your codes as far as traffic, for sure. Yeah, and I think the property owner would like,
Yeah, sure.
it's okay to add to that.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for the time. My name is Shazan Chinara. So I completely understand the concern of not wanting too many drive-throughs. I actually serve on Governor Kemp's Board of Economic Development. So a proper mix of commercial, residential, when they invite the Kia plant or the Hyundai plant to come in, I get a chance to see what they're trying to build around that. So I'm 100% in agreement with you guys that at some point you just don't want drive-throughs everywhere. It just makes it seem very cheap. It makes it seem it doesn't seem like an elevated style of living. Whether that's Peachtree City or Alpharetta, those are the kind of cities you want to gravitate towards. And I fully understand that. To the extent that there's a development across the street from this parcel, I forgot the name of it. But there's a oval green, and then they have some tenants on the front side. And I've actually put in LOIs to bring Dry Bar. It's a very elevated, high-end hair concept. Put in a P.F. Chang's to go, LOI over there. So there's very premium offerings that I myself want to contribute to the city. But where this parcel itself sits, it's in between 3 to 4 drive-throughs on the right side of it, between, I think it's Tim Hortons and Chick-fil-A, and then on the left side of it. It is sandwiched in the middle. It's less than an acre. I know it's going to be very difficult for me to convince you guys to see it from my lens, but I can assure you that the highest and best use is to allow a drive-through. But just know that if you guys do, it's not going to be some value brand that's going to pop up there and be cheap food again. Whatever it is, it's going to be some elevated QSR brand, because I myself take pride in what I bring to the communities in which we build them. The buildings we put up are full brick and full stone. I don't go for the cheapest site work or building facade. I don't know if you guys have gotten a chance to see the elevations that we've put forth, but we put a lot of time and effort into what we do before we do it. So I just wanted you guys to keep that in mind as you make your decision. But I'm in full alignment with you guys of trying to elevate the city and the standard of living for the residents. So if I can answer any questions, I'd be happy to do so.
So you mentioned again between, did you say Chick-fil-A and Tim Hortons?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm doing my best to picture this.
So you have the Chick-fil-A, then I think you have like a Moe's and a Einstein Bagel, the kind of strip center. You have like a Tim Hortons, and you have a Starbucks, and I think
And there's, I got you.
Marco's Pizza, and then right there, it's that corner parcel, then you got Taco Bell. So you're sandwiched in between a whole bunch of, and the frontage on this property is so small that you could not even really put up like a 2 or 3 tenant building where you bring in other uses. There really is no other use, and rather than it just kind of sit there and be a void and an eyesore, if you guys would be willing to put your faith and trust in me, that if you guys were to approve a drive-through, it's not going to be some value leader. It's going to be something of quality. The build, look, and feel of that building will be superior to anything else that's on that strip, and that's a personal commitment for me. So I don't know what that use is going to be, but just knowing that that's our background and that's my belief, to have something good for the city, that's what I propose right across the street. That's my commitment to you.
I have a question, comment, maybe.
Yes, ma'am.
We would love to have new business. I've lived in that area for over 20 years, and honestly, personally, I don't want any more drive-through. We have been asking for many years for nice, sit-down, family restaurants. The only thing we have is Cracker Barrel, and that's not my idea of nice, sit-down. We have went through all of the comprehensive planning, and we have to respect what the people are asking for, and they don't want drive-through.
Sure. I was just trying to point out the nuances around it. But if there's something that I can do to mitigate that concern of yours of not just wanting carte blanche drive-throughs, if there's some kind of middle ground that you'd be willing to propose, I'd love to try and accommodate.
So I'm sorry, did you have a question?
My question is, why 74? Did you guys visit any other sites in Fairburn?
Well, the property was available. We actually own the Dunkin' a little bit closer to the freeway itself, and we saw that the McDonald's went away, the Chick-fil-A went away. I think they're rearranging that whole interchange up there. So we have businesses in this part of town. This property came available, and we thought that there could be a higher and better use than it kind of sitting there. It was owned by a doctor for the longest time, and he was just asking a crazy amount of money that nobody would be willing to pay. So even for that matter, just knowing that we've paid a lot of money for it, you're not going to see a Checkers drive-through or something pop up there. It has to be a premium use for it, even with a drive-through. So I know the word drive-through is like probably frowned upon now, but if there's just some willingness to look at this one particular nuance and the parcel size itself, it makes it very difficult to have a full-service kind of restaurant when that strip is geared towards this. I understand your concern. Trust me, I do.
You don't think that 74 already clustered?
I do, but if you see what happens over time, you have a kind of a survival of the fittest mentality. So if someone comes in and you guys say, you know what, we'll approve drive-through. We don't want it, we'll approve it, but we're gonna make it very contained in that no one else can kind of come and approve drive-throughs unless it's a very small parcel and that's all I can fit, whatever it is in the text amendment. But if you go in and if you go with the latest and greatest, a full brick, full stone, matter of fact, even on the roof, we've proposed a shingled roof. So it's a very premium look and feel. As you do that, let's say that's a coffee shop. Well, the coffee shop that's now 15 years old next to it, that one's probably gonna be on its way out the door. So you have the new higher quality feel coming in, but there's always gonna be a rotation. And one of those is gonna go out, and when that goes out, they've gotta be held accountable to the new code. But it's not like you can just keep shoving more drive-throughs in. So with this incoming drive-through, there's gonna be one over time that's gonna fall out. You've seen, I think before the Tim Hortons, it was like a Crystals or something before that. It's always gonna be that the next higher, better, more premium looking, that's gonna survive. And you guys are not allowing drive-throughs anymore, but you're not just gonna have a whole bunch of old, they kind of recycle.
Staff, did you have a?
Yes, and just a
Director
point
Webb?
of clarification, this is not pertaining to one property. It would infect the entire overlay district.
Correct.
And we've had applicants, two applicants, who've been able to meet the standards without any issues. So I think the applicant has made some excellent points, but I did want, just for a point of clarification, this is the entire overlay district.
Correct, correct. And again, I'm listening to you. You do have some good points, but at the same time, as we've stated, a lot of work has gone into planning that area, that strip. But are you familiar with our comprehensive plan? I'm just wondering, sounds like you recently acquired this piece of property.
Yeah, we recently acquired it, probably just before you guys, oh, sorry. We recently acquired it, I think probably just before, just after you guys might have changed that. We've owned it for a little bit over a year. So that's how much time and effort we've put into trying to make sure we're not just throwing something up.
Yeah, no, we've had it much longer than that. Okay, okay. Any more questions for the applicant, commissioners?
It's my opinion, no matter how you dress it up or what the building looks like, it's still a fast food restaurant.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, thank you both so much. Appreciate it. Anything else from staff?
No, and just a point of clarification, our current ordinance does allow drive-through restaurants, just with that additional dining options that our residents have asked for.
Correct. Okay. All righty. Are we at a point where someone want to put forth a motion to either approve or deny? Let me get this is,
Commissioner Parker, make a motion to decline.
okay. I was
Commissioner
Aye.
Echols, second.
looking for the actual agenda item number. Okay, let me find it for you. This is the text amendment, actually.
Commissioner Parker, make a motion to
Not approved.
to not approve text amendment section 80-90, Highway 74 overlay, drive-through restaurant standards.
Okay, do we have a second?
Commissioner Echols, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, motion goes forward that we deny.
This obviously is a recommendation to mayor and city
The mayor and council, that's right. Okay, and they will have the final say. All righty, next item on our agenda would be adjournment. Does anyone have any comments before we adjourn this evening?
Commissioner Smith would like to make a comment. I want to thank our newly elected city councilman. People that got elected and our city administrator for tonight's meeting.
Anyone else? Any more comments?
Commissioner Parker would like to say congratulations to Creekside High School for winning the championship football. And I'd also like to say that I send up many prayers to all of our Hispanic community right now.
Very nice. All righty, if there are no more comments, oh, I'm sorry.
Just wanted to say that I do have you guys shirts.
Thank you very much. We'll see you afterwards.
Yes.
All righty. Okay, then we are standing in adjournment. Thank you.